So, Caitlin Clark is having a good old time at All-Star Weekend. Honestly, you can see, just hearing the way she's talking, she just wants a bit of a break. Like, I think the three-point contest was like, I don't think she's someone that, if she's not 100% up for it, will be able to do it. And I think she's 100% up for the All-Star game. I think the three-point contest, and it's not even like physically she's exhausted, I think mentally she'd be exhausted for that. And the three-point contest is a mental game. I think she's more so mentally exhausted than physically exhausted. And I think taking a break from basketball will do her good. Would I have liked to have seen her do the three-point contest? Of course I would. Is it the end of the world? No. But at the same time, like, she's under no, of all people, she's under no obligation to quote-unquote grow the game, to do her part in growing the game, because she's the reason the game is where it is. Like, let's be real. She's not the best player right now. That's A'ja Wilson. A lot of people up to this point helped grow the game to a point. But she's grown the game to a level that it would not have probably reached for another 10 years by herself. Before we get on to, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We are seven subscribers of 23,700. That is our goal for today. And if we could hit that, that would be incredible. But, oh, this guy, he was, and this guy, I don't actually think that he likes Caitlin Clark. Or sorry, not that he dislikes Caitlin Clark. I think this is somebody suffering from, again, what we will call Caitlin Clark derangement syndrome. And even one subscriber would be great. We just lost one. But as in, like, there is definitely a section of fans that aren't actually Caitlin Clark fans that use Caitlin Clark to spew hate. And because of that section of fans, he'll take his anger out on a 22-year-old girl. Like, and I think there are plenty of people that are like that. And it's kind of like, I don't know what it's like to be in their shoes, so I'm not going to say like it's egregious or whether it's not understandable to be incredibly frustrated, but what it's not good to do is take out your anger by saying dumb things about a 22-year-old girl. Like, that's what the thing is. Like, these people aren't Caitlin Clark fans, which is why one thing that people there are Caitlin Clark fans that are no different than like Swifties, as in they're just fanatics. But the people that aren't fans of basketball are using Caitlin Clark's spew hate. They are not Caitlin Clark fans. They're just literally racists who are using it as an excuse. And don't worry, during the Olympics, when Sha'Carri Richardson wins, they're going to go even more berserk. But, yeah, so let's take a look at what he says here, though.
How do you consider Clark reportedly saying no to the three, and how should the league feel about that?
Yeah, I don't like it when the stars do not do these competitions. I didn't like not seeing Aaron Judge and Otani. I don't like seeing the LeBrons and the Zions in the dunk contest. But especially right now for Caitlin Clark, this is a missed opportunity. And as much for Caitlin Clark as it is for all those people who spent all that time talking about how could Team USA not have her on the team.
She's just the best. She's the best point guard in the WNBA. Like, that's why. Like, the big reason, like, look, whatever about the, there were people saying she should have just been there for a draw. But again, these weren't people who were watching. Even at that point, she was better than Taurasi. Even at that point, Chelsea Gray was supposed to be out for the Olympics. And clearly, she should have stayed out for the Olympics. She's just trying to save the ACES season because they don't have another point guard. But, no, you can't compare it because Caitlin Clark deserved to be there on merit.
Because how do you grow the game without Caitlin Clark? This is another opportunity. What are they going to say now? Because Caitlin...
The three-point contest versus the Olympics. All-Star Friday night. She's going to be playing tomorrow. It's going to be the most viewed All-Star game ever. And by the way, I could almost guarantee you that today was the most watched All-Star Friday night ever. I could nearly almost guarantee you that. Because of the Caitlin Clark effect. A rising tide lifts all boats. Even without Caitlin Clark performing, I think the Caitlin Clark effect was probably the reason why this I wouldn't be that surprised if this was one of the most viewed All-Star weekends ever. Or even the Friday night.
Clark has opted out of an opportunity that will grow the game. We saw when UNESCO broke the record for the three-point competition, she grew the game and it became a mainstream moment. And
yeah, but no one's breaking Sabrina's record. She missed one shot. What is the most you can get? So you can get, 30 plus 4 is 34. 40. She got 37 out of 40. I don't know what way the 37 came from, but if she missed one of the deep threes, she potentially only missed one shot. I don't know exactly what it was, but nobody's breaking that record. The real three-point records of Craig Hodges and Jason Capono are never going to be beaten in the NBA, and she made 2 more shots than they did. She made 2 more shots than Capono and Craig Hodges. Like, Sabrina's record's never going to be broken, and no one's ever going to beat that. And being like, Caitlin Clark has missed an opportunity to grow the game. Caitlin Clark can take whatever the hell day off she wants. If you are saying Caitlin Clark's missing an opportunity, then you sure as hell should be criticizing, I don't know, every single time, hypothetically. Again, I don't have a single issue with Angel Reese not stepping up to the podium after games, because again, the reporters are trying to catch her out, just like they're trying to catch Caitlin Clark out, and Caitlin Clark does seem to have better media training than most people, so she's not going to get caught out by questions, whereas some of these players will. And I think, obviously, players like the Sky know that, Angel Reese knows that people are trying to catch her out. And it was like Angel Reese not showing up to the orange carpet yesterday. It's like, I think she just wants to focus on ball. She just wants to focus on the All-Star weekend for the minute and doesn't want a media frenzy trying to catch her out with questions. And even her answer today was pretty good. But, like, there's no obligation to do every single thing. There's no obligation for any of these players to do literally every single thing. You're talking about a player that is doing everything to grow the game of basketball. You're talking about a person where if they retired today, the league would lose half their viewers. You cannot criticize her for not literally doing everything, especially when she's mentally exhausted. You can't criticize her for not doing everything. By the way, if she opted out of All-Star Weekend, maybe. Or if she just decided to go back to another year in college, maybe. But of all people to complain about for not growing the game. And also, you just made a complete, like, crazy comparison as well. People are outraged at not being Team USA because it's not growing the game. Nobody that actually watched basketball is complaining about that. The reason why people are watching were complaining is that they didn't bring a healthy point guard. She was even at that point the best point guard in the league. They didn't bring a healthy point guard. And they are an old team. The whole team is going to be old for the next Olympics. You got to bring young players. Like, there's got to be some continuity. You can't just suddenly expect Cameron Brink, Paige Beckers, Juju Watkins, Caitlin Clark, and Angel Reese. You can't just expect all of them to play in the next Olympics when none of them have played. You should have brought 2. Whether that be, again, obviously Cameron Brink was there for 3-on-3. Whether that be Caitlin or Angel Reese. Whether that be Caitlin or Analia Boston. You've got to bring 2 young players. 2 young players. And that was the biggest issue with it.
So Caitlin Clark is opting out of that. Don't tell me she's tired because you wanted her on Team USA. Don't tell me she doesn't want attention because if she was on Team USA, she'd be getting a lot of attention. There's really no excuse for her not to go out there and shoot a few threes for the betterment of the game.
How is her shooting threes going to improve the game? Cool. Look, I'm just going to put this out there right now. Caitlin Clark is in a shooting slump. How is a player in a shooting slump who is probably going to finish... Look, I'm going to say this right now. Caitlin Clark was not winning tonight. How is a person who going through a shooting slump who was asked yesterday? She had not been asked. She was asked one day before to compete. And you could tell by the way she was like talking that she was up for it earlier on in the year. She was asked yesterday with no practice, mentally exhausted, getting ready for a game. And if you've not seen the media obligations, by the way, I want to see if I can find it here. So this is literally what happened earlier today. Can I find it anywhere? I need to see if I can find it. But basically, during the interview process, they had, even Aja Wilson was answering questions. They had all the players answering questions at the same time. There were hundreds of reporters at Caitlin Clark. There was 3 at Aja Wilson. There was a player who had nobody. It was like the not Santi Aldama. Who was the meme? Goga Batadze. When everyone's interviewing Zion and he has nobody asking him a question to draft and he's looking at Zion. That's literally like it was. There were hundreds of reporters at All-Star Weekend following Caitlin Clark around everywhere. She has to deal with a million interviews, every single reporter trying to ask her a question. So yeah, it's going to be mentally exhausting. Of course it's going to be mentally exhausting. Look, would I have rather she done the contest? Yeah, of course. I think most people would. But to accuse her of not trying to grow the game is pathetic. It is pathetic. Do you know why you're talking about the WNBA right now? It's because of Caitlin Clark. And do you want to know why I'm talking about the WNBA? It's because of Caitlin Clark. And look, I'll be honest. I know so many more players. I've got to watch a season of Aja Wilson. I've got to be able to watch Aaliyah Boston change her game, become Like, so now suddenly a high IQ face-up big where she can do everything rather than a back-to-the-basket big. I've watched her adapt in real time. I've watched Sabrina Ionescu's ascension to one of the best guards to ever play the sport. I've watched Fee Collier ball out. I've watched Kayla McBride at times look like the best shooter maybe to ever play. We've watched Breanna Stewart struggle a bit this year. We've watched a Liberty team that look like they're going to beat the Aces. A Connecticut Sun team and Alyssa Thomas who is absolutely balling. And the reason why we can watch why so many people are watching all of this is because of Caitlin Clark. So if there's anyone if there's anyone who deserves a pass for doing one thing for not growing the game, it's her. And if you're not going to give her a pass, I want you to complain about every single... If any player misses anything, by the way, if any player misses anything for the rest of WNBA history, I want you to complain. I want you to complain. I want you to complain if a player misses an interview. I want you to complain if a player doesn't do anything. Because you're talking about double standard. You now got to set a double standard. If you're going to complain to the single biggest reason for the growth of the game, and look, we all know a lot of people have helped grow the game. Nobody as much as 22 right here. And everyone's benefiting. The person who's benefited the most from it is A'ja Wilson, because people can see how great A'ja Wilson is. Even the likes of Enrique. Like, I watched a bit of the Dallas Wings last year, so I would have known who Enrique was. Didn't realize Enrique had this type of game, because mainly I was watching for Satu. But, like, so many WNBA players have increased their freaking, like, relevance in the last year. Every single one of them have. A lot of it because of the view boost from her. So excuse me, Mr. Skip Bayless for Caitlin Clark. I get it. You don't like the Caitlin Clark fans. And you've made that very, very clear. Attacking a 22-year-old who just wants a break. A 22-year-old who just wants the ball, but is surrounded by the biggest media circus we've seen maybe ever in sports. Who just wants one night so she can sit there and be a fan at All-Star Weekend. Excuse me for her wanting to do that for one night. Because for every other night of the WNBA season, she is the reason why this game is where it is right now.